you a home grower looking for a little bit of help? Are you ready to learn as much as you can about your favorite hobby? The Homegrown Helpers brings you informative interviews from experienced growers that have taken the next steps in their journey and decided to help you grow top quality cannabis all in your home. Now welcome in our host, Rob Smith, along with this week's Homegrown Helper. What's up, everybody? This is your host bringing you another week of cannabis growing advice from home growers just like you from around the world. And around the world, I literally mean that today. Today, I'm speaking with Nathan from Black Ops Garden on Instagram, and he is located in the United Kingdom. We get into the personal journey and what cannabis and the scene is like in the United Kingdom and the UK culture. And I think we all have our preconceived notions of what the government and the authoritarian type style is over there. But Nathan kind of, shares what it's like from his perspective of being, in the cannabis scene for 30 plus years. I really enjoy connecting with growers from around the world. And if you feel like you have something to share, I'd love to talk with you. Head on over to thehomegrownhelpers.com/apply and fill out the intake form. Every couple of weeks, I reach out to those growers and make connections and set up an interview because, what you learn today might help 1,000 or 2,000 growers in the coming months prevent from making that same mistake. So that's what we love to share. As you're listening to this, we're launching this the day that membership at mygrowpass.com closes. We extended it for one more day. We had some interest in extending it. So just one day. We close on April 15th. So if you're listening after that, it's going to be too late. So this goes live on the morning of April 15th. And would love to have you guys on board. We offer discounts, exclusive member audio, so much more for just our members. We're getting ready to do exclusive, bi-weekly member giveaways, just for the fun of it, because we love giving stuff away. So a little bit about today's interview with Nathan. We cover the personal journey and what cannabis is like in the UK. As far as grow advice, we get very detailed because I loved his answer about his IPM protocols. And, we get in some great detail, very in-depth discussion there. And I think anybody can take something away from it. We also discussed the biggest mistakes he's made as a deep water culture grower. I recorded this at, right after posting the interviews with Doctilla's Garden. And Matt there goes into incredible depth about his trials and failures with deep water culture, and Nathan follows it up with some more advice. So combine those if you're a deep water culture thinking about getting into it. And lastly, we cover Amazon lighting and why it's important to make the investment that is critical, to feed your plants, and that's lighting. So as part of a membership at mygrowpass.com, we partner with 15 amazing brands and try and give you a little bit of everything that you need as a grower, as a person. And one of those brands is my wife's company. It's a premium CBD product run by my wife, founded by my wife and her partner, Sarah. So if you're looking to feel better, head on over to rootedlife.com and use code GROWCAST to save yourself 10%. Now let's kick it over to the interview with Nathan. All right, guys and gals and boys and girls, whoever's listening to this show, this is clean adult content, at least for the most part. Everybody can learn how to grow cannabis. Doesn't matter your age. I have a really awesome interview in store for you. Somebody who's been growing on and off for 30 years and, completely illicitly. I'm going to welcome in Nathan, who is Black Ops Garden on Instagram. Welcome to the show, Nathan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm really interested for you to share your story. We talked a little bit before we hit the record button, and I love hearing stories from around the world. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your journey with cannabis?
Well, I'm from the UK, from the West Country, hence the accent. They call us carrot crunchers here. I started growing as a kid, really, bag seeds, just picking up bag seeds along the way when the cannabis resin stopped coming into the country from Lebanon and places like that when all that fell apart. Obviously, we were funding a war by buying it. We didn't realise that then as kids, but it is what it is. And so we ended up with weed, which was something quite new at the time. We didn't really see much of it. So anyway, we had these bag seeds, decided to give it a go, and went around planting them in the woods and in hedgerows and things like that, and hoping nobody would find them. And yeah, it was a bit of an adventure. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. And then I just slowly progressed from there, really, and made loads of mistakes, as you do. And yeah, that's the beginning of it, really. And I just got the bug. It's not only cannabis. I grow everything, vegetables and all sorts, but my indoor garden is my true passion, which is the cannabis.
Right on, right on. I imagine when you started out growing, it was the majority of it was outdoor growing. Is that accurate?
It was all outdoor. Yeah, I mean, at the time we didn't have carbon filters, and like I said, I was a teenager. I didn't have the funds to go out and buy lights, things like that. I just had a little paper round, and it was all I could do to buy a bottle of cheap nutrients from the local garden centre, and it was just stuff like that. Where you'd fill up a container with water and sneak out in the middle of the night and give them a little drink in the hedgerow. Just hope the farmer didn't rip them out or someone pinched them or whatever, nicked them. And yeah, that was it. That was it initially. But then I was quite lucky. My dad's always been a smoker, and he was, sat me down. He's seen the signs of me doing it and sat me down when I was about 16 and said, "Look, here it is," and explained everything to me and told me not to stress about it. And then we started growing together, and things obviously escalated from there. But that was all outdoor in the summer months. Luckily, we live in quite a rural location, so tucked away in the back garden, we didn't have too many problems. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. So you're a second generation cannabis farmer then, huh?
So I would say so, yeah. I mean, it wasn't, the growing it was quite new to my dad at the time. You sort of learned together. He stopped doing it now, so I just, he's had a few issues with his health over the years, cancer and such like. So anything I grow, he's always had a good chunk of it to help him along the way with his health and helping him sleep and, pain relief and things like that. And recent years, I've had my own health problems, and they've fibromyalgia, and that sort of, spurred me on to do a little bit more so I can relieve my own symptoms without having to take any pharmaceuticals, which just make things worse.
Right.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Mm.
Can you enlighten us a little bit about what the scene in the UK is with cannabis, the legality and what the black market and, the underground scene is, if you can share any stories with that?
Yeah, no problem. Well, it's illegal across the board. There is a little bit of leniency in recent years. There's sort of an unofficial personal limit of 9 plants. That used to be 12, but it changed recently for some reason. I don't know why. So if you get caught with 9 plants or less, they treat it as like as personal use, and you'll just get sort of a big fine and a slap on the wrist, so to speak. But anything over and above that, they have you for intent to supply, which is obviously prison sentences and things like that. The black market, there's a lot of rubbish around. This is one of the reasons why I continue to grow, to be honest, is 90% of what you get on the street is rubbish. We've had all sorts, crushed glass mixed in with the bud and things like that. It's not a good scene at all in this country because of how underground it is and the sort of people that tend to get involved in it. They just want to make a quick buck. They don't care about return business or the quality of what they're putting out there.
Oh, it's horrible.
There are exceptions to there are exceptions to the rule. Don't get me wrong. I've got a few friends that really do produce very high quality flower, and but we all share. There's no money involved. I can't remember last time I bought any, to be honest with you. I think it's about £200 an ounce now, which is, I don't know, what's that, roughly about $250, is it? Something along like that.
Yeah, that's going rate in an illicit market, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it is over here. Is that whole thing. I think this is what worries me about the kids in this country, because they get drawn into that scene, which is something that the government uses as excuse, as this gateway drug excuse they use.
Right.
But in my opinion, and lots of others, the only reason it's a gateway drug is because of the people and the scene they're introduced to when they start smoking weed. You know, it's not part of the scene. You know, we're not injecting things and snorting things up our nose and getting addicted to stuff. We're just getting high and enjoying life.
Right. I think what you're trying to say is it's only a gateway drug because it's illegal, right? Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, it introduces you to the people that can supply you with everything.
Right. And when you're hanging out or you go see the weed dealer, sometimes he might have something else that, you know, is out on the table, and you ask about it, and he tells you about it, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try that. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, give you a little bit for free to get you hooked.
Right, because the drug dealer's never going to tell you the downsides of a drug.
No, it's all going to be roses, isn't it?
Right. They're going to tell you the fun things that you can do on a drug. So, like, in a regulated market, you can go to a store, and they're not trying to sell you a bag of cocaine, you know, from behind the counter at the same time, you know?
Yeah, that's a massive problem in the UK at the moment as well.
Yeah.
The cocaine scene is totally out of control.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was curious, you know, I think we've all heard stories about the parents that were, you know, had their kid taken away because they were trying to give it CBD.
Yeah.
You know, what's the medical cannabis standing, and, you know, is CBD illegal as well?
No, CBD is legal. It's actually just been sort of taken up. You know, it's sort of been accepted now, legally accepted in the country.
Okay, cool.
The CBD, and it's got. I'm trying to think now, but the figures are straight. I think it's got to be lower than 1.25% THC to be, you know, to legally be sold on the market.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
Because in the US, I don't know if you knew, but it's 0.3% total THC.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Like I said, it's changing all the time. It depends where you get your information as to how solid the facts are. But I know there's been big changes, which is a start. But because it's always been available in sort of the health food shops for a long time in the UK, but they're famous. I don't know what it's like over there, but in this country, they're famous for sort of selling things with very misleading promises. And, you know, what they've been selling has been very, very low quality. And you get endless stories from people telling you that, oh, I tried that, it was rubbish, it didn't do anything for me. But, you know, they paid like £5 for a little bottle of it, which probably had less than 1% CBD in it.
Right. Yeah. Snake oil type stuff.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, that I think because of that, it's going to take quite a while to clean up the bad reputation it's managed to get for itself over here. But when it does, I think it's going to be great. But now we've got the sort of powers that be on board. I think that'll happen eventually.
Cool.
So that side of it's good.
Awesome. And medical cannabis is not a thing?
Well, yeah, we've got they passed laws in November of 2018, I believe it was. They said that we'd be able to get a prescription THC products and like flower related products, but it turns out that our NHS system, which is a good thing, but it can be a bad thing at the same time, they won't pay for the prescriptions because we get we pay a small amount towards our medication in this country, and the government covers the rest of it from the national insurance kitty. And because of that, we can only get it through a private clinic, our prescription through a private clinic, which will cost you £3,800 just to get a prescription.
Wow.
And thereafter, it's between £400 and £600 an ounce for the
Wow.
medical flower.
Wow.
So there's very few people in this country doing that. There's a handful that can afford it. I mean, but from my point of view, that'd be sort of £2,000 or £3,000 a month just to medicate, and I couldn't do that. It's not very many people that could.
Wow, that's crazy.
There are a few exceptions to the rule. There's a few famous cases out there that I think now they've managed to get it sorted, but no, not good. So that needs to change. Like I said, I mentioned to you earlier when we were speaking before, it is the problem with this country is they like to tie everything up and make money to keep it in their own little top 1%. So they try to, everything needs to be a corporate concern and tied up in knots, and you need hundreds of thousands of pounds to get just to get a little tiny foothold in the market. And unless that changes, the scene's going to stay underground in the UK, which is a shame.
Got it. So you had a very interesting answer to the IPM question, and I was hoping you could, tell us about your current grow setup, and incorporate, and I think that will kind of lead into your IPM protocols. Yeah.
Well, I've got a small, like a box room, which is about 7 foot by 7 square. It's only a small space. I've got a 4-inch intake, 6-inch out, humidifier, dehumidifier. I've got the room all sheeted out with, I call it orca plastic, stuff I mean. Yeah, anyway, they've got plastic on the walls and the floor to keep everything nice and clean. And I use the Micro 600 light. Have you heard of Micros in their YouTube channel?
Yep. The guy's been on the Growcast podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Shane, he's a good guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I grow hydroponically in cocoa with a recirculating system. I've just started doing autoflowers the last few years. I'm enjoying them, but I still enjoy the photo periods. I like the predictability of clones and stuff like that. But yeah, well, I don't know what else to say really. What else would you like to know?
Well, you talked about your IPM protocols and how your system's kind of locked down and kind of airtight, and I'd like you to talk about, did you build this box? Like, how did you airtight it? What do you do to ensure that your plants stay clean and healthy, I guess?
Right. We call it a bug blocker on my intake, which is basically filters the air and stops any nasties. And just before that, I've got a UV sterilizer as well. So anything coming into the room is sterilized and scrubbed, if you like. Then I just mentioned the orca plastic on the walls and floor. I change that in between every single grow. And I also, cleaning constantly in there is part of my thing. I get changed every time I go in the room. I've got one pair of shoes which I keep in the room. It's a bit like that. And I don't really get any problems. I've got loads of air movement in there, so mold issues, nothing's got a chance to settle. So that's good. And I advise anyone to do that, really. Plenty of oscillating fans, keep those leaves dancing, and so nothing can settle on them. I run H2O2 in the reservoir, or I also use a product called Silver Bullet. I don't know, can you guys get that over there?
Silver Bullet. I don't know. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, it's basically H2O2, which has been stabilized with a silver compound, and it regenerates. So you don't have to keep dosing daily. You can sort of do it once a week, and it stays there. And the silver content is so low, it doesn't cause any harms because I know that's going to be the first thing everyone asks.
I don't. Silver Bullet hydrogen peroxide. Let's see.
It's a shame if you can't.
Yeah,
it's a great product.
Yeah, like a blue bottle, and it comes in a spray bottle sometimes.
Yeah. That's the cleaning product. They also do a cleaning product, which I also use.
Okay.
alongside the Dr. Zymes cleaning product. I use the Dr. Zymes when I've got plants in the room, and because they do that cleaning product now as well. I use that when I've got plants in the room. The silver bullet when I'm stripping down before the next go over. I've mentioned Dr. Zymes again. If I do see anything, it just doesn't happen really, because I'm so anal about keeping things clean, and everything that enters the room is sort of sterilized. I don't really get any bug problems.
Right.
I won't buy clones. Everything I do is from seed. So any clones I use, I made myself. So there's no contamination. It's just not so much because I'm so on it. Clean. I don't get any problems. Right. It's I'm touch wood. I shouldn't say that.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And
exactly that. Yeah.
So. I know you've listened to a lot of the Homegrown Helper episodes, and as things progress, going all the way back when I started this idea of doing a podcast, it was journals and talking to home growers, and the concept and what I wanted to do was to kind of ask the same questions and to find out if there was the best way to do a particular task, or if it didn't matter. If there was cutting clones this particular way produced success in 5 to 7 days every time, and 75% of the growers across the world did it this way, it would make sense for a new grower to learn that way. Yeah. And we were going to publish articles and have people rank them and yada, yada, yada. So moving forward into the Homegrown Helpers, I was getting ready to take that question out. Like, what are your IPM protocols? How do you keep your plants clean and healthy? Yeah. Because it all starts with, cleanliness, changing, different shoes, don't let anybody else in your grow, and don't bring in problems. And you don't have to deal with problems. And that's really what it comes down to.
That's it. I mean, I've got it all there if I need it. I've just never really needed it. It's, most of what I do is cleaning the environment as opposed to sorting out issues when they're already in the plant and causing problems. I think it's like anything. I mean, every grower says this: you look after your environment, the plants look after themselves, right? And they really do. They really do, in my experience. It's obviously all that changes when you're outside. There's bigger issues to deal with outside because you haven't got control of the environment. But indoor grow, that's the whole thing. That's why I love hydroponics, because I've got 100% control of what's going on in that environment. The VPD, the temperature, everything is going on in there. I can adjust via my mobile phone, which is fantastic. It's great.
So, do you have a controller system?
I do.
That you control?
It's a bit hard to explain. So I bodged it together with a few friends from different bits and bobs. I've got a few friends who are into that sort of, computers and automated systems, and it's not something you can buy off the shelf, unfortunately. It's just something they sort of put together for me and a few other people, and we can control everything from our phones, which is nice.
Yeah, totally.
Something that in the future, once things become a little bit more easy to talk about in this country, we hopefully might be able to bring it to market. That's in the future.
Right. So we're going to take a quick break to thank our partners, our mygrowpass.com partners for the show. And when we get back, we hinted at a little bit, or Nathan did anyways, talking about growing in hydro and controlling things. But we're going to ask Nathan to describe his biggest learning opportunity, or opportunity to learn from, in deep water culture and the failures that came along with that. So we'll be right back. All right, today's mygrowpass.com partner is Fishhead Farms and their premium aquaponics in a bottle product called Fish Shit. I love saying it. They, put an exclamation point in the shit, so it doesn't actually spell shit, but I like saying fish shit. So fishheadfarms.com, use code GROWCAST to save yourself 10%. mygrowpass.com members get a code for 25% off all of their products. So if you're a regular user of Fish It, this pays for itself month over month over month. As a veg member, you can get a 25% off discount on a 3-month package right now. Today is the last day that membership will be open again for another couple of months. And even if you're not a member, we want you to use the product Fish It. It's an ecosystem in a bottle. All you have to do is add it to your water in any soil, deep water culture, any application. Use it from, vegetative all the way through harvest to maximize the potency, smells, flavors, all of the good stuff out of your cannabis. So fishheadfarms.com, use code GROWCAST to save 10% on Fish It. And thanks so much to our mygrowpass.com partners. Nathan, you've been killing it with the grow education. Let's keep it going and talk about your biggest learning opportunity. You had an answer about deep water culture and, you don't do that anymore, but I'd like to hear and share, we just published at the recording of this, we just published part 2 of the interview with Matt from Michigan about deep water culture, and that's all he grows in. So this will be perfect if you can share some of those learning opportunities that you had.
Yeah. I grew like that for years, and I really enjoyed it. But it does come with its issues, and I'm now considering going back to it actually because we've got the product I spoke about earlier, Silver Bullet, which solves a lot of the issues that come up, which are mainly detritus build up in the well, I call it the sump area of the grow with deep water culture, and pythium and all those sorts of things. Is root rot is a major issue. But with aeroponics now, I think if you are looking to go that way, aeroponics is the way to go. Mainly because the roots they're not submerged; they're constantly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know what aeroponics is, it's kind of like a cloner setup.
Yeah.
Where it's spraying nutrients and water on the roots constantly.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do allow their root zone to not be sprayed for 10 minutes or whatever and dry out a little bit, allows them to stretch and look for water. But yeah, I mean, lots of people are going to aeroponics. There's just so many ways to grow nowadays.
Yeah. It's getting a little bit. I find the soil issue. I know this is getting off track a little bit. I find the soil thing a little bit worrying for newcomers, to be honest.
Why is that?
But I think my personal opinion is it is without doubt the best way to grow. You get improved. All right, the yields can be slightly smaller, but you get better terpene production. Everything's better. The plant is closer to its natural environment, if you like. But there's still, if you haven't mastered it, it can be a complete pain in the ass, for the want of a better expression. And I don't think social media, as in, like Facebook groups and things like this, help when it comes to that either, because everything seems to be a CalMag issue or do you know what I mean? It's that amongst other things. That's just the one that springs to mind immediately.
Oh no, that's pretty much the popular answer. I mean, that is, kind of like a joke nowadays. So
yeah, there's so much conflicting stuff out there with people just giving people bad advice, and then when you try to correct them, it'll turn into an argument. So I try to stay out of that if I can now. But this is only coming from me. This is only my opinion. I would advise somebody to go down a cocoa route and, hand watering cocoa every day with hydroponic solutions, get your pH right, master that form of growing, and just ease your way into the soil, because it's not easy. Everyone thinks it's the easy way out, pH is itself, it does this, and that's not always the case either. But once you master it, it's great, but I don't think it's a very good entry point to growing for those reasons. Overwatering is very easy. Underwatering is very easy. Things getting out of balance. You've got to be able to read the plant in advance to know what's going to happen. There's so many variables where, like I mentioned earlier about my environment, when it comes to hydroponics, you can control everything. Every single stage of that grow, you're in control of. And you can rectify it in literally in seconds. So that's why I would get yourself a pH pen, an EC pen, a good little cheap lineup, like I use a hydroponic solution. I use is called Shogun range. Again, I don't know if you can get that in the States, but here in the UK,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, here in the UK, it's very popular. It's quite new, but it's popular. It's a natural product. It's not a organic product, but it's all naturally. Everything in it's natural. There's no chemicals or anything to worry about. And I think that's the easiest way to grow because you've got a chart to follow. Do you know what I mean by saying that? I don't know. I might be talking rubbish, but I think
I do. I have a couple counterpoints that I'd like to make whenever you're done. Just to
carry on.
Okay. So I completely understand all your points, and for an experienced grower, I think cocoa or a hydro setup is feasible.
Yeah.
But soil acts as a buffer. So if you do overfeed or you do underwater or overwater, like that soil does give a little forgiveness and a little.
There is that, yeah.
Like you said, you can correct and adjust things on the fly, minute to minute in cocoa. But that's also the downside where your plant can go back and forth if you're really not sure what you're doing and how to correct an issue once it comes up.
Yeah.
The other point that I have is maybe they're not so prevalent in the UK, but the water only soils are really creating a foothold in the market now. We have partners with Sohum Soils, and we're about to do a giveaway with Michigan Made Mix. You can add some compost teas or some microbes, but you're really just adding water, and you can get by with just adding water. So there is that benefit for new growers where they're not going to make those mistakes by adding any nutrients or at all.
Yeah, we've just got Sohum over here. It's just one of our biggest sort of hydroponic chains. Have just started stocking it, but it's pretty incredibly like £60 for 50 litres. It's
that's high, but shipping over there has to be considered and imports or whatever. So that's high. I mean, I think they're like $35 a bag here.
Yeah, it's I think we've got the BioBiz, which is I personally don't like it. I have tried it with BioBiz, which is made in Europe, I believe.
Yep.
And I didn't get on with it at all. It caused me problems. So I'm probably looking at it from a slightly different point of view to you guys because of the way it is over there. The market's stronger, and you've got a lot more to choose from, haven't you, as opposed to us?
Right.
Yeah.
And part of why I love this is hearing different perspectives from around the world. So I love hearing these stories and why that works for you, and maybe this inspires somebody else to try it, and maybe that works best for them, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, that's another thing when we're talking about the grow environment. My experience with live soils, I've actually brought pests into the grow environment with the soil.
Yeah.
In the past, spider mites, fungus gnats, and all those sorts of things have come in.
Sure.
In the past, I'm going back a couple of years, but that put me off straight away because of my sort of, like I said earlier, I'm a little bit over the top when it comes to keeping the environment clean. So
that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's, I don't know if you guys get that problem, but it's certainly put me off straight away.
Yeah, I think every grower's gone through that. Whether it's on the truck or at the warehouse or in the store. Yeah, that stuff does happen. So.
Yeah, it's unavoidable, I suppose. It's the nature of the beast, and it is sort of, they're going to find their way in there.
Right.
They like the smell of it or the taste of it. They'll find their way in there.
Yep. So I'd like you to share, if you can, what some of the best pieces of advice you've ever received about growing cannabis has been.
I've already mentioned the main one really is look after your environment, and the rest of look after itself. I can't emphasize enough the importance of your vapor pressure deficit. There's loads of charts available online. Get yourself a dehumidifier, get yourself a humidifier. It doesn't have to cost a fortune. Just getting that one thing right, you'll see the growth in your plants accelerate massively. That's very important. Cleanliness is my number one piece of advice I can give to anyone. And if you make any changes, if you have a success, write everything down. If you have a successful grow, make sure you've written everything down so you can repeat it again and you can tweak it and make it even better and carry on. Or it makes it slightly worse, so you need to put that right next time. So keep a diary. A grow diary is really important. Everything you do, every little change, or what time you water, all those sorts of things. Just be methodical about cleanliness and keeping a log. I think that would be and genetics. Good genetics is very important for newbies. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy popping a bag seed as much as the next man, but if you're a newbie, it could cause you problems. So just go with a good supplier of genetics, nice clean environment, make a note of everything you do, and you can't go wrong, I don't think.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, about the tracking, we hear it time and time again on the Homegrown Helpers.
Yeah.
And I'd like to offer up a resource that we have. You can find it at Linktree. That's linktr.ee/growcast. And that is, the Veg Grow Journal. We offer our members a grow journal that Jordan and I created. And you can have the veg portion of that journal at either linktree.ee/growcast, or the link is mygrowpass.com/free-grow-journal. So I'd like to wrap things up here and give you an opportunity to talk about things that new growers should avoid in the garden, and any last bits of advice you'd like to toss in there for them.
Things you should avoid.
For new growers to avoid. Yeah. I mean, you talk about, Amazon lighting and other things.
Yeah, definitely. Stay away from pretty much across the board. Not always, but pretty much across the board. Stay away from anything that throws out what they call the blurple light. Apart from anything else, is the I don't know what Amazon's doing, but you seem to be able to sell whatever you want on there. They can be very dangerous and a fire hazard. So if it's just for that reason, stay away from them. Because the last thing you want is a fire in your house. It's not good news.
Right.
So yeah, invest in a good light. It doesn't have to be expensive, but do a little bit of research. Find out the best way to grow with that light, and buy the best you can afford. You don't break the bank, but don't skimp at the same time. If that thing's $100 and this thing's $200, just don't buy it and save, and just buy the best you can possibly afford, and it'll stand you in good stead. pH is everything. So something that people overlook. The amount of people I see online asking advice and they don't even know what their pH is, and they're growing in cocoa,
right?
Or not using CalMag. I was speaking to a guy in my local shop the other day, and he was growing in cocoa because he was told he wouldn't need CalMag, which is obviously not the case. So quite the opposite, in fact.
Right.
So he was only an old boy growing tomatoes hydroponically, but it's one sentence of bad advice can wipe out hours of good advice. So research. I mean, the internet is the best resource we've got. So get on there and research everything and buy the best you can afford when it comes with all your equipment and genetics.
I would just like to throw out a word of caution. Like, my advice for Googling anything, and particularly cannabis growing advice, is read a plethora of articles.
Yeah.
And, if you read 10 and 7 tell you to do it this way, and 2 tell you to do it this way, and then there's that one outlier, don't try the one outlier first. No. There's a reason that there's one dude talking about it this way and 7 people talking about it the other way. Try the tried and true methods, and listen to some of these podcast episodes, because you'll hear a lot of the people that have been growing for a while end up in the same types of patterns. And that's what we're trying to recreate for you guys.
Definitely. You'll never stop learning in this when growing. Never stop learning. It's every day you'll pick up something new and add it to your garden, and it'll make a world of difference.
If you're doing it right.
Yeah, that's right. It's I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and yours being one of them, and I've learned a lot. Like, because things are underground here, is learning from you guys in the States where you can openly speak about it. It's a revelation. The last few years have been a complete revelation for the whole world when it comes to growing, I think.
Totally.
Purely because of what's going on over there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier where there's so many different ways to grow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening is people are like, oh, maybe I can grow a plant on the side of a tree, or grafting or whatever.
Yeah.
People are just experimenting because they have more plants and more cannabis than they know what to do with now.
Yeah.
So it's okay to try different things that might not yield the same results.
That's right. I mean, at the moment, saying that, something, my partner, she grows bonsai, and she started doing this thing called air pruning. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, and I've started doing it, and it works. It works great, 100% success rate.
Wow.
It doesn't look pretty on the plant,
Right?
But the thing's getting fed as well as growing new roots to cut it off.
Can you walk us through this process as we wrap this interview up here?
Yeah. Well, I basically copied her because of the bonsai thing. She takes cuttings, like we do. We call them clones cuttings. It's the same thing.
Yep.
Basically, she gets one of the little, the root riot little cubes, the spongy cubes.
Yep.
Cuts one of those in half, not all the way, just opens it up. Smear a little bit of Clone X and a few drops of water on it, just moisten it up. Wrap it around the base of the plant, leaving about a centimetre, or say, 5 millimetre, between the bottom of the branch and the main stem of the plant. And then she wraps clean. Do you use clean film? Do you know what that is?
No, what is that?
We wrap food up with it.
Okay.
Sort of clear plastic.
Yeah, plastic wrap. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, we call it clean film in it over. And then she puts that around it, not tight, just gentle, just to stop any, anything nasty getting in there.
Yep.
Leave it for 10 days, unwrap it, cut it off, and you've got a rooted clone.
Wow.
And you can't go wrong. So, yeah. Oh, sorry. Scrape the branch slightly before you put the, just to open it up.
Okay.
A bit of, expose a bit of flesh. And, yeah.
So it honestly just sounds like you're taking a clone
on the plant
while it's still on the plant. You're just rearranging the order of things. That's all.
Yeah. And another thing, it gets space issues. I always had an issue with somewhere to put the cloned in dome, and then you got somewhere to keep the mothers and
right.
all these. I ain't got that problem anymore.
Right.
It's all hanging off of the mother, and chop them off, put her back in bed again, and away you go.
That's really cool. Yeah, we haven't had anybody that has had personal experience with that, so I appreciate you sharing that. It sounds like you're really just moving the cutting from the beginning to the end of the process. Yeah,
and in that process, obviously that cutting is still getting fed by the mother plant.
Right.
So you don't get any die off or anything. You don't have to trim the leaves back. You're straight out of it.
That's cool.
Straight
nice
out.
stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Nathan, we are going to wrap things up here. I really appreciate your time and in joining me today. Mm-hmm. Audience, if you have the time, I'd really appreciate you rating, reviewing, and sharing the podcast. Help us grow, help us spread the knowledge that we're getting growers to share with you. So thanks again for listening, and happy growing, guys. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye, guys.